In the last 2 months, I've spent over €1,000 on sales and marketing subscriptions, and I'm gonna talk about which ones were worth it and which ones were a waste. So, as you can see, there's 15 subscriptions overall. So some of these are solely related to sales. Some of these are maybe a bit more functional, a bit more kind of some no-code tools. And there is a third column which is kind of green, yellow, or red, basically meaning whether I see myself using it in the future, which I'm going to stop using, and which ones I'm still kind of doubtful about. So let's begin from top to bottom. Basically, Squarespace. This is my website hosting space. It's not ideal that I'm paying like €300 per year for my website, but I feel like design-wise, for a person running a business solo, this is just a place where you can create the best looking website. And ideally, in the future, we would kind of consider transitioning fully to WordPress, but it's good for now. G Suite, it's €150. So you might be considering, how the hell does he pay 150 if he only has one Google Workspace account? But that's not the case. I actually have 20 something accounts, 22 I think, or 20. And the reason for that is that if you do cold outreach, it's best to basically create a bunch of domains. So I have 10 I think, or 12. And then you create 2 email addresses for each domain. So I have my main domain, and then I have 10 more extra. So that puts me into 21 basically email addresses, each costing basically €7 per month. And this is because you want basically to maximize your deliverability when it comes to cold outreach, and creating basically different domains that are redirecting to your main domain is the best way to do so. Third on the list is instantly.ai. So this is a tool to send out emails. And it is an excellent tool. You can add as many mailboxes as you want. It's very fair when it comes to how many kind of leads and contacts it allows you to add to the list per monthly basis. But I just found a substitute for that, which I'm gonna touch upon later on in the list. Apollo is also a cold outreach system. The problem with Apollo is that you can only add one mailbox per basically subscription. So it has only one seat, meaning that you pay like a €50 fee. And then in order to add new seats, you basically have to pay €50 extra. As I was canceling, they gave me a deal to basically add like a seat for €7, but I still found that to be a much more expensive option than to just use a different subscription, which allows to have like a master inbox as well, meaning that like each reply that comes in, if you have like 20 emails, it's so difficult to navigate, but then you have like a master inbox, which allows basically for you to see in one inbox to see all of the emails that you have received. I feel like I was holding this in front of my face. I need to hold it a bit downwards. Dripify. So Dripify is a platform that allows for like cold outreach through LinkedIn. So you can send requests, you can follow, like you can build out like sequences of things to do for through your LinkedIn profile. Meaning that, for example, on one day you send a connection request, on other day you maybe follow that person, on third day, if they accept, you send like a welcoming message. So it's cold outreach via LinkedIn. And in my previous video, I mentioned that LinkedIn was the platform that surprised me the most in terms of how bad it works for what I do. I don't know, maybe I don't know how to use LinkedIn, but I found LinkedIn very, it's very difficult to get responses for me. And Dripify was my attempt to kind of automate and get as much volume out there as possible. Yet a few days ago, I declined the subscription, and I didn't want to kind of invest €100 per month anymore, just because I felt as if I'm not getting as much as I would like to from it. And I feel like when you're running a business solo, you have to really focus on things on like one channel at a time, because if you go like if you try to do everything at the same time, it just doesn't work. And I'm choosing to do cold outreach more than I choose to do Dripify. So NT, it's a platform where I can manage basically my finances of the company. So I can create like a credit card links through Stripe. I can allow basically they allow me to generate invoices and just manage them in the one space. I feel like it's not really worth for me to have it, but on the other hand, it's only €5 a month. So I think they're in this very sweet spot where it's too little basically for me to cancel, because I do use it sometimes, but does it actually provide me enough value? I'm not sure. So it's in the yellow. Smart Lead. So this is the platform that I transitioned to from Instantly. It's literally the same thing as Instantly. I just find the kind of UI a bit more maybe appealing, and it's only like 2 weeks that I'm using Smart Lead, but from what I've read basically on the internet, kind of the people, the reviews, everyone who uses kind of Instantly for a while transitions to Smart Lead and then finds that to be kind of the right decision. So I'm really just trusting feedback on this one. So far, my experience is great on Smart Lead. It's very intuitive. It works well. And I'm not sure about deliverability, because that is kind of the key aspect of these platforms. I found Apollo deliverability to not be good, actually, even though it is the biggest platform. So I'm hoping for Smart Lead, because my emails are still warming up, meaning that from the moment you create them till the moment you send them, I just created a bunch of new emails. You need to take a few weeks for those emails to warm up, and basically, because if you send emails from a completely new account, Google basically will mark you as spam, and then your deliverability will go down. So I'm still warming them up, so I'm not sure how good the deliverability is going to be on Smart Lead, but from what I read, it's going to be better than Instantly. Then ChatGPT, yes, I do have a subscription there, because I tend to use it quite a bit, and I just find the tool to be incredibly impressive. So it's all green for me, and kind of how good it is. AAA Accelerator. So this is basically a community. This is not really it is a subscription, but it is not a service. It's a community. So I find that it can be a bit lonely to do things by yourself. So I really wanted kind of just people around me that do this similar thing. So we have like a weekly call or 2 times a week. They have like workshops. So if you were to ask me 2 weeks ago, I would have said I will cancel it. It's in the yellow now, because I kind of engaged a bit more. I put in more effort basically, and I actually found some value in that. What I like is just reading whatever people are talking about, and then you just get like a few good like ideas throughout the week, and that's kind of enough to justify the cost. On top of that, it is nice to see other people doing similar things, and that just gives you a sense of camaraderie instead of you just being alone and lonely. So it's in the yellow. I do think that it's gonna go to green, and I'm gonna keep it. But 97, it is a bit steep, and I am kind of it's basically all of these subscriptions are in different currencies, so I just made them into euros, and that's it. I didn't kind of convert the currencies correctly. I just put in the costs, whatever it doesn't matter. It's a few euros difference. So VoiceFlow is basically the platform that I build all of the kind of solutions through. I might use different integrations here and there, but basically VoiceFlow is also like the chatbot builder that I mainly use. And it's €100 because it's €50 a seat. So my freelance developer that helps me sometimes, most of the times, does have a subscription there as well. So €100 sounds a bit steep, but for the, it is the kind of fundamental aspect of what I do. So it is just super mandatory for me. Insert ChatGPT, 120. This one was expensive. So what it was basically is it's a place where you can very easily create like knowledge-based chatbots. So what it means is that you put in a website link or like a document link, they just index that data, and then they are able to, and that chatbot is able to provide answers, open-ended answers from that knowledge base to the customer. So what that means is you put in your website, it just scrapes your website, and then if someone asks something that could be found on that website, it is able to kind of retrieve an answer. I use those. I kind of insert ChatGPT and custom GPT right behind it is basically the same thing, just different platforms. I thought that I could use those like as a demo, as a first demo. So I would reach out and then say basically, yeah, look, this is like an MVP. This is like a version 1. I can do much more, but just check it out. If you like it, I'm going to build you a better one. I found that to be a bad strategy because what it does is just answers questions in a very dismissive way, meaning that it does not engage the customer to conversate more or to have like a follow-up action. It just answers the question and then pushes user basically back. So if you're a website that tries to catch users' attention and engage with users, it pushes them away instead of luring them in. So I found these examples to not work. I sent out so many and none of them were incredibly like impressed and said, yeah, just build me a better one. So yeah, both of these are in the red. Then Octopus. Octopus is basically a worse version of Dripify. It's LinkedIn automation. It's much cheaper. But what you can do is just send invitation requests on an automated basis, so you don't have to do that manually. It's more like the cost is not that steep. They have even cheaper subscriptions, like 10 euros. So maybe you should just go for that one if you need that automation. But I found LinkedIn to not work, as I mentioned, that well. So I'm gonna leave it as is for now, and then later on I might come back. Chatbase is more of the same basically. It's like insert ChatGPT and custom GPT subscriptions where you just create chatbots from like a website or a document. And I just used all of them because I was really hung up on the idea of being able to send examples, but it didn't really work. Lastly, it's Mailgun. So Mailgun is basically, initially, instead of creating a bunch of domains and a bunch of email addresses under those domains, what I did was I integrated, I was using Apollo, so I had only one mailbox available. So I used Mailgun, which basically allows you to send like millions of emails per day per one email inbox for one mailbox. So I would basically pay the cost of deliverability. It would be around like 25% of open rates for my emails. But I could send out from one mailbox, I could send out like 1,000 emails a day. I would send, I think, 1,200, which is a lot. But I found that I'm transitioning to a new basically strategy where I'm much more picky on what emails I send and the leads that I choose, because I do not think that they're just, brute forcing your way through things is the right way to do it. It's a bad long-term strategy as well. So I kind of moved away from that. So if you also want to send emails, you need leads, right? So Apollo does provide that. So it would make sense to pay like 50 euro subscription for a basically lead database. But the more you kind of learn about things, the more kind of hacks you find out. So there are services basically, and I don't know how like morally positive or moral in general this is, but basically there's a service where you provide like a search, because you can search leads in Apollo for free. You just cannot like extract them or add them to a sequence if you don't have enough like credits or subscriptions, whatever. So you just take like a search link for the lead that you search. You can do that via free account. Then you post it, and there's a service in Discord where they basically scrape all the leads for you. So you pay like 3 euros for like 1,000 lead list. It's much cheaper than using Apollo itself. If interested, just kind of ask it in the comments. I can link that service there, but it does its trick basically. So I don't need to pay like 50 euros a month. I instead pay 3 euros per month, and I have 1,000 people on my list, and that's more than enough for, some campaigns. So I also, as I was talking, I understood that I forgot Zapier. So I'm just gonna add it right now. So Zapier was like a 10 euro subscription for 3 months. I had like a promotion or something. It does cost a bit more actually than 10 euros per month. It does cost a bit more. I think it's 30 euros or something. They have multiple layers of subscriptions as well. So I used to build like a few automations, which I didn't find that useful for me just yet. And I transitioned to make.com, but I am using a free subscription there. So it allows basically to automate manual tasks. So I do see myself building out a lot of these automations for myself and for maybe for my customers if I see like a lot of potential there. So I will keep an eye on that, and basically if I do and when I do, I'm gonna of course share all of them inside these videos. So these are the subscriptions I went through, and if I were to put a color on Zapier, that would be red, because I am switching to make.com, which is a same but different platform. More on the list today is basically just general kind of update. So first of all, I had a nice update basically by reaching out like to a website / marketing agency and basically proposing them to exchange our services. So I build like a chatbot for you, and then what you do is just you market my services for me. And instead of kind of us paying each other for doing these services, we just do them, without financial exchange. That is of course very appealing to me because I'm making my camera wobbly. That is very appealing to me because I don't have that much funds to go about, so I need to kind of hustle my way through things, and that sounds like a very kind of appealing offer to me. So what they will do is basically create like user-generated content ads on Meta, so both Instagram and Facebook. So I'm very curious to see how these work. These are going to be probably launching in week or 2 weeks tops. So very curious to see how it works. And for them, I'm going to build like a virtual salesman. So the founder was keen on using a sales framework, which is called like NEPQ or something. I can talk about that a bit later on, but it's a framework where we basically understand what a customer wants, what is their current situation, and then you just kind of you go layer by layer. So it's just a sales framework. And I thought that's an excellent, if I'm able to build out the way I wanted to, it could be an excellent like opportunity for me to go out and for every company that uses that sales framework, just use that basically as a possible clientele. I think that's a very interesting also niche that I'm gonna target later on. Secondly, I'm very much personally like haunted by the idea of this being a temporary stop. So what I mean by that is I'm conscious of the fact that I am not gonna do this for like, do I see myself building chatbots in 2 years? No, but I just want to, and like in general, custom software solutions are not going to be, a scalable business. It's so difficult to build out of these from scratch every single time. So I'm a bit haunted by that idea. And I'm conscious about kind of the whole growth mindset, right? So I want to have like I want to have a unicorn in my life or something. I want to have, I want to do million revenue in profits per month, whatever the goal, crazy audacious goal is. I don't think that I can get there with the solution. So I want to formulate that goal for myself because I do have like financial goals, but I don't think these can be met with the current setup of the company, but that's okay probably. Thirdly, I feel like, the whole AI revolution is taking place, and I feel like me riding that wave in form of chatbots sounds a bit underwhelming because I know how crazy the other solutions are. So I'm really looking into basically what can we do with kind of this AI umbrella that is a bit more impressive. So I've been looking into a few new products, but I do want them to be in the same kind of domain because I do think I know about the kind of the industry quite a bit now. So it's not as if I'm not willing to pivot. I don't want to throw away a thing after 2 months and then just move on to the next thing. I want to ride this out. So there's a lot of kind of ideas, and I think chatbots are a bad way of basically naming services. I think it's much more like AI agents, because then you can connect them to the internet. They can do research for you. There's a lot to do in the chat format, as you saw like with ChatGPT. Just a chatbot seems a bit underwhelming because we have a very negative annotation connected to it, I think. And fourth, I think. So why I think it's okay to, even though like I have these uncertainties, why I think it's good to write it out. So I think it's an excellent training ground for me to see basically to to recheck my fundamental skills, you know, like sales, marketing, prioritization, product development, whatever, because I was struggling so much to basically answer what am I good at and what I like to do versus what I don't like to do and what I'm bad at. Even though I feel like I am emotionally I am able to reflect on myself quite a bit from like a personality perspective. When it comes to, for example, like choosing my passions or saying what I love to do, I can never pinpoint these things. You know, I could never answer you what feels like play to me versus what feels like work. I don't know why that is the case, but that is just what it is. So by doing all of those things at one time, I'm running an experiment on seeing which one will work for me. And even though I'm not able to reflect on it on the spot and basically tell you what I like, what I don't like, I can basically see how I allocated my time and which tasks I was avoiding the most, and then reflect on it retrospectively. So it is an ongoing experiment. I wouldn't say I made I made a lot of progress, I think, but I have so much more work to do in that area. So I'm okay with doing this for now. So secondly, I look this as a product validation stage. So you know how if you try to build a startup, the first thing you do before doing any development is you go out and find what you think would be the perfect customer, and then you just have a conversation with him or her and see whether what you think and what their problem is have any common ground whatsoever. And that basically and they might say, yeah, this is not this. You're making too many assumptions. This doesn't work. This wouldn't solve anything because of this, and that. And then you save yourself 6 months and a bunch of stress, basically, if you do kind of things in the right sequence. So, and kind of coming back to what I was trying to say is that I feel like I don't know which industry specifically and which problem specifically is best solved by these AI agents. So I'm doing a bit of a generalist approach at first, and then I will see basically which of the clients that I had were impacted by my solution the most. So I am doing product validation just on a bit stretched scale, and I am kind of charging along the way, you know. So it's a bit of a generalist work, which is not scalable, but I see myself picking one thing and then kind of niching down and productizing the service later on, which just is a very natural progression. It's not something that is just crazy, is a crazy revolution to anyone, I think. And for example, why I think this could work, the guy that I just talked to, the agency owner, he uses this NEPQ sales framework. And that was like immediately a new idea. If I set up the framework the way to match the expectations, for example, of those business owners, then that could be a niche that I could lean in on. And if I wouldn't serve a customer that is not from within my niche, I wouldn't have encountered that. And when I don't know that niche for now, I feel okay with just trying stuff out. And yeah, it's just lastly just a very good learning ground for me, as I mentioned before. This video is probably a bit too long already. Thank you so much for listening. It's a bit of a therapy for me to do these now. I only did 2, but I'm looking forward to the next one already. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one.